Hello and welcome everyone to the Friday Verizon Wireless VZWBuzz chat. Today is our dedicated day for health and wellness, and we're going to be sharing with you some additional tips and recapping some of the key learnings from the Twitter chat. Thanks for joining us. Somebody today is also going to be winning a Samsung Galaxy Note 4. I will tell you this, I have had two of these because one I lost in the bottom of the ocean. Not a good thing. So today you will be winning one of these, and we're going to be selecting from the stream. Tell us what you learn at today's chat. I want to thank Robin from Robin's World for sharing such great tips. And just to recap, we're going to be talking with one of our favorite bloggers as well, and influencer Joyce Charrier, coming to us from Mississippi. Where are you exactly, Joyce?
I'm right above Gulfport, kind of near Gulfport area, but out in the country.
I remember that, Gulfport, Mississippi. So how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You are always our go-to person for staying healthy and feeling good. And one of the things that I thought would be great to do on today's chat, because I love the fact that you were able to make the time, was to really kind of get your top tips. You know, we talk a lot about using mobile to stay fit, but before we get into the specifics of mobile and technology, you know, if you're going to advise a large group of people that are watching, what would be your top 3 tips? You know, your best top 3 recommendations.
I think that I would choose be conscious of your sleep patterns. And one of the things I always want to say about sleep is I think we associate it with being lazy, maybe. You know, we're getting too much sleep, we need to do more work, but it's just as important as exercise and healthy eating. So that's a huge one. I'm a big fan of getting outside and not necessarily finding all your fitness in, you know, kind of your traditional, conventional fitness. So kind of think outside the box. And I think maybe the third tip was to take like one day at a time, to live in the present and not be like, oh, yesterday I ate a whole chocolate cake. That's yesterday. You know, focus on today. And don't even really think about tomorrow. Just focus like on today and kind of taking it, depending on where you're at. You might have to take it moment to moment, or 1 hour to 1 hour, or, you know, meal to meal. But so in the present, think outside the box, and don't neglect rest and sleep. Those are like really important, I think.
Rest and sleep. Yeah, you know, I think we tend to think that we can keep going because we can keep going. And I remember someone saying at the end of the day, I was sitting down with someone, it must have been, I don't know, 5 o'clock, you know, at the end of the work day, a long time ago when I had my 9-to-5 job, and I started to yawn. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't mean to, you know, it's not like I'm bored or anything. And she said, no, you start yawning when you allow your body to relax, you know, because you know your day's ending. And isn't that so important, you know, that you can truly think, okay, I'm going to unwind, not just go from work to making dinner to, you know, all the other things that are on your to-do list.
Yes, it's so important. I think taking that time out for, you know, downtime is so important to recharge. However you want to do that. Some people do it actively. Some people do it by taking naps. Some people do it by a trip, whatever it happens to be. But that's so important too. But again, I think we tend to focus on how much we can do all the time, when sometimes doing nothing is the healthiest thing you can do. You know, taking that break. So I know that's not usually what everyone hears, but I think it's super important to recharge.
I love that. You know, sometimes it's okay to do nothing, and it does recharge you. It's so true. Now, there's some little things that, you know, little tips that we can share that are useful, you know, also exercise tips. So I have one. I'm actually sitting on it. It's my
stability ball. I love that. I love that.
It's great. You know, you get to bounce.
Yes. It's fun too, right?
It's fun. I also what I use it for too is I kind of stretch too. Like I can every so often, you know, just go around and stretch my back and while I'm sitting on it, at the very least, you're muscles are engaged and you're straight. Um,
Right.
so something as easy as change your chair might be useful.
Yeah.
What about yours? What would be your favorite ones?
I'm trying to not sit so much. I find because of what we do, we tend to sit in front of the computer a lot. And so I'm making myself get up a lot.
Hmm.
And even if I have to stand, like right now I'm on I guess you could call it a fitness, it's a stationary bike with a little desk. So that's what I'm sitting on right now. But I have a hard time sometimes typing and pedaling. But it kind of keeps me from sitting, say, in a chair for hours because you turn around and spend hours. So if you could just get up and move, get yourself something to drink, right? If you have to get up and get a glass of water or just stand up and work. Just standing up and working is a huge thing. And so that's been my biggest thing lately. Get up, get up, get up. So
Get up and get outside,
yes.
breathing some fresh air.
Yep.
I recently took a few days off, and it was kind of one of those, I couldn't really access Wi-Fi. My
Hmm.
technology wasn't around me. And it was just so refreshing. It was 3 days, and it was a little more than that. It was like 4 days of
Right.
really unable to connect, but after a while it was just so easy. All I used my phone was to take pictures. Um, and so I always want to encourage people, as much as we love talking about mobile technology
Right.
and how great it is to support our lifestyle, it's also so great to leave it aside and enjoy where you are.
Right. So you're conscious. I always think of it that if we're looking at our phone or we're on a computer or whatever, we can't kind of take in what's around us and you kind of miss a lot, right? Things kind of go by you and you don't really see them. And I really believe part of health is kind of fighting those moments in your
Hmm.
day to kind of be grateful for, whether it's, I know this sounds really almost silly, but butterflies are out right now. If you're down with your face in your phone all the time, you're not going to notice the little butterfly that goes by. You're not going to notice things just around you. Sunsets, sunrises, trees that are blooming. You kind of miss it all. And those are kind of things, gifts we get each day. And I think that's super important for health, because we always think in terms of I need to exercise, I need to eat right, and I need to sleep, and those are good things. But we kind of miss the gifts we get each day. And that is so calming. It's really a form of meditation. And you can work out like crazy, but if inside you're in turmoil, that's not healthy. So I think if we just stay in the present and we take a moment to just look, I think we see a lot that we're missing by keeping our faces like this.
Yeah, so true, so true. It's so important to set it aside and notice things. I still remember when my daughter was like, I think she was graduating from preschool. It was one of the sweetest events that we've witnessed. The principal actually just looked at all the parents and said, we're going to give you 5 minutes for pictures, and then you're going to put them all away and you're going to enjoy the moment.
I
Because it's
love
not
that.
coming back.
That's right. Right. You miss it. You completely
You
miss
miss it.
stuff.
You miss it if you're looking through the lens. And so every
Yeah.
so often, big events in your life, it's probably more important to really absorb them and enjoy them than to capture them, right? Or get
Right.
someone else to capture them.
Right. Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Hand it to your husband. Here, take the pictures.
Yes, you do that. How about, tell me just a little bit about food. I know it's, we all try to eat well and, fruits and vegetables and obviously, fresh is best, but even,
Right.
frozen fruits and vegetables are very nutritious.
Sure.
And so what are some of the, key tips you would have for us, for eating and, nutrition in general?
Well, I'm a fan of kind of more grazing. I'm not a big fan of the huge breakfast and then waiting to eat till lunch and then waiting to eat till dinner. I believe that it's better to eat kind of throughout your day to kind of keep your blood sugar level constant, and not have those ups and downs. Oh, I'm stuffed. Oh, I'm starving. I don't think that's a good idea. But I love juicing. I love that if that's how you need to get your nutrition in the morning. I have a NutriBullet. I love it. And that's one of my favorite ways to do it. And sometimes I'm not in the mood to eat like food, if you know what I mean. I'm just not in the mood. But I think our relationship with food is kind of, strange. I know, our culture socially, we enjoy meals together, but I think when we reward ourselves with food, like, oh, I did a good job on that, I'm gonna eat a piece of cake. Oh, I got a good grade, I'm gonna eat a cookie. And we even see it growing up, right, in school books and stuff. Johnny had 4 pieces of candy and he gave 2 away. We have this thing with food, and I think if we start seeing food more as fuel to get us where we need to go, and there's nothing wrong with the chocolate cake sometimes, and, that's all fine, but start rewarding ourselves with other things, like flowers or something new that you like, or whatever it happens to be, a movie, anything like that. Little rewards should come that way, not through food. So that's kind of my thing with food, is not focusing as a reward with it, and really quality over quantity is always a big deal, right? It's like, it's better to eat a little bit of really great food than go, gee, I just ordered this giant thing and I got so much for my money, say at a restaurant. Better to eat a little bit of really great food that's going to fuel you right than trying to get the deal on the giant plate,
I love that notion as just, as advice. Neither Joyce nor I are psychologists or psychiatrists or any kind of psych
yes. No, we are not.
But the idea that, just stop and observe your relationship with food might tell you a lot, right? And I love Deepak Chopra has a great advice. He also says, when you're feeling impatient or angry, potentially one of the things you can do is just kind of stop and observe yourself a little bit, for just a few seconds, and instantly you can probably put things in a different perspective just by looking at your own reactions. And food is true. You may have a relationship with food that by observing it you can improve and perhaps change if you have to change it.
Right, and I think there's nothing wrong with enjoying food with people you love, and I think that's awesome. But I think you're exactly right. If you just kind of are conscious of it, you're aware, just like with everything else, right? Just being aware of triggers too. Like, when you're sad, do you eat to think that's going to make you happy, right? We have triggers like that, and so it's like you said, we're not psychologists, but if you find yourself overeating, it's a good idea to maybe start trying to relate that. Oh, gee, I overate last night. I just wanted to eat. I wanted to eat, and see if you can find the trigger that caused that to happen. Was it really hunger, or was it a bad phone call, or was it something that triggered that? And if you find it's a pattern, then that's how you can go back and find a way to break the pattern. So I think a lot of times we emotionally eat. I think that's a big thing for people. So.
Yeah, so true. We do have interesting reactions with our food, and even stomach, right? Sometimes when you're afraid, you feel it in your stomach. It's like your whole body connection. One of the things that I like that I found super useful is this idea that sometimes when we're eating, and I think it's a proven fact that you cannot exercise your way into the shape that you want to be in, but you can certainly eat less or eat better, right, to achieve the weight goal. So this idea that you can eat anything, and as long as you exercise, you'll lose your weight, if that's your goal, actually has been pretty much proven impossible, right? You actually have to. And one of the things that I found was so fascinating is that you are eating and your stomach may be full, but the message to your brain hasn't quite arrived yet, and so you're still eating. Right. And so what's the advice there as far as, making sure that when you're full?
Well, it's funny. I had that experience just the other day. Something happened. I was eating, and I had to get up and leave my plate for whatever reason, right? And so I was hungry when I was eating. And I went and did this whatever thing I had to do. And I came back 10 or 15 minutes later, and I went, I'm not so hungry anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's like, because there was time for my brain and stomach to connect. And I realized probably if I was sitting there, I would have just ate the whole thing, right? Yeah. Because of the moment. But because I walked away and came back, there was a period of time where there was an adjustment, and I went, wow, I don't need to finish this now. So it really made me think about that we kind of, a lot of times we're in a hurry. We're eating in our car, right? We got to go to the next event,
Yep.
and we're kind of shoveling it in. And so I think if we slow down, I have a girlfriend, we used to sit together, and she would eat, and I'd look at her, and she'd be like eating, and I'd be like, why are you eating like that? It was because she ate slow, and she didn't eat as much, because she
Yep.
would feel her fullness. So I think if we slow down just a little bit and try to like take one bite instead of shoveling it in, then
Yeah.
maybe we would kind of eat a little bit less each time.
Eating fast is never a good thing. Ayanna Pendergrass is pointing the same thing out, that she's always eating slower so that she can trick her brain. It's actually more about letting your brain catch up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, somebody said, just eat a little bit, kind of just like walk around just as an experiment, just what happened to you, and come back, and you'll find that 99 times out of 100, you're no longer hungry. So,
Right. It's amazing.
eating slow is good. One of the things that I'm always fascinated by, I know that food journals are useful, right? So, give me, do you use food journals at all, apps?
I have in the past, and I've always been a big fan of Fujicate, but also too, like say like with the Fitbit, which I love my Fitbit, you can log your food, and I think that that's for someone who's not really conscious of what they're eating. Like all of a sudden they stop and they go, okay, I want to lose some weight, so I want to write down everything I'm eating and drinking, because that's really important. So if you can log that, and like with the Fitbit, or I think many of the apps now use that, right, where you can log your food. And journaling will help you see something you didn't see before. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I drank 3 sodas today, and I had a latte, and then you realize maybe a lot of your calories aren't even from food. You're actually drinking a ton of your calories. So,
Yeah.
or you're putting, like low quality food in your body because you're just mindlessly, oh, I was thirsty. Oh, I had this because I was thirsty. And so I think it helps people find a starting point.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
Organized.
The activity trackers are so useful because they make you, get up and walk around. I know we gave away our latest one, which is this Garmin, and I'm also using the Microsoft Band, which I love. And it just is one of those things that's so helpful because you have it on you, and it'll tell you how many steps you take.
Yes.
Which, if you're me, you're also looking at the steps you didn't take by
You're
the end of the day. But also, it's a great reminder. Now, this device that we're giving away today, the Verizon Galaxy Note 4 and the S5, started to come out with its own built-in activity tracker. So even by holding the phone, you don't need a separate activity tracker. It'll tell you how many steps you took and calories you burned. So many of the smartphones that Verizon Wireless will have in the stores will be able to, kind of achieve the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. One of the last things I wanted to ask you was on, video games. Do you guys play, or have you used video games as a way to stay active, perhaps?
Yeah, we have. We use the Wii. My daughter and I used to love to play with the Wii. We haven't done it lately, but that was one of our favorite things to do together. And I can't think of the name right now of it, but it was the one where you both had to go through this obstacle course. So you both have to jump over things and jump to the side. It was just so much fun. I love that. I think you can find family time and activity together. If you're trying to get in better shape, if you're trying to lose weight, because it's not always about losing weight, right? Sometimes it's just getting in better shape. That trying to combine, our access to tech and family and activity, and just kind of make it all join together is like this perfect trifecta. You know?
Such a good idea, because Easter's coming up for many of us that will be having family around. It's
right.
After the meal, it's also a great thing. You relax a little bit and then just fire up the Xbox. If you can't go outside, some of us are still experiencing a little cold, but if you can't go outside and take a walk or do that, or do both and come back and play some games. There's one great game also on the Xbox, which is trying to balance things.
Right.
With the Kinect, and it's so fun and so exciting. Of course, I know you and I do yoga. We've tried the
Right.
My Yoga Online from Gaiam TV. That's been a great, it's a great thing, right? It's all under $10. You do as much as you can, anytime you
Yes.
can.
You can access it from all your devices. I love that. And see, I think that's great what you're saying too, that you can use tech, you can do My Yoga Online, you can use your fitness tracker, you can go outside. So I think variety is huge. Kind of like finding activity wherever you can. It doesn't always have to, again, it doesn't have to look like a gym. It doesn't have to be conventional. And that's why, many years ago, people weren't obese because every day they had to take care of their animals and they had to go get their water and they had to milk their cows, and so they had to do all those things we don't do anymore. So it's neat that we just have to find little pieces of activity everywhere we go.
Yeah, it's ever so true. Take the stairs, take the stairs if you can, up, take the stairs, and you'll actually feel better. I find also for personal health, one of the things that I've relied on technology for is actually getting organized and being productive, because I would find that I couldn't really get everything done in
Right,
one day. It would like be so stressful, so I'd be lying up and wake at night knowing
right.
all the stuff I didn't get done. So technology, I know Syed Balki, we're going to post it again on the stream, wrote this great 6 tips to being more productive, that relying on technology, your smartphone, and some apps. And
Right.
I don't know if you've tried doing that, but it's really, really, it's so useful to just feel organized somewhat.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah, I think that's important too because that creates stress, right? So I'm a big fan of when I go to bed at night, I will not check my email. And even when I first get up in the morning, I don't check it right away because if I can't do anything about it in that moment, like say if I'm driving my daughter to school, right? Then all of a sudden I have this email I gotta answer in my brain and I'm stressing out and now I'm distracted and now maybe, I'm not having like that moment with my daughter right before school. So I think all those apps help you to help the stress level, which is so unhealthy, right? Stress, constant stress. So it's like it gives you a break from that, and you can use the app to keep you organized, but also keep you focused on the priorities too. So you're
so
not
true.
always like, I need to check my email, I got to check my calendar. Oh my gosh, I forgot this, right? It's overwhelming. So it's no fun. So I think all those apps are great. I mean, a lot of people use Evernote. There's a bunch of them. I have a bunch here I was looking at, um, like this one, Google Keep. I thought that was cool.
What does that
So,
do?
well, it says if you have an idea, when you get an idea and you're like, oh, I gotta write it down, but it's middle of the night, you had this idea. So see what it says here. I'm trying to see what it says. It's basically a place to keep all your ideas. So you can
Yeah,
do voice notes. So you can grab your phone and go blah 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 and say whatever you're going to say, and then you have it, and it keeps all your ideas for you. So you're not
that's
sticky
so
notes and
so
things.
so important, because that way you can go to sleep knowing you're not going to forget about it. And
Right, right,
the yeah, so a reminder, it's you can also use Evernote, which is one of those
yes,
things that you can do, pick up on any device. If you have a smartphone, you can do it there. Many people have said they cannot really not sleep with their phone next to them because of their alarm or whatever other
right,
uses you have, which is fine, but try, as Joy says, not to check your email at the end of the day or first thing in the morning, and keep your mind be as clear as possible. One of the
yeah,
things that I try to do is write at the very end of the day a gratitude journal. I try to write 3 things I'm grateful for every day.
I love
And
that.
you can use Evernote, you can use Google Keep, you can use any of the notes devices on your smartphone, and let that be the last thing that you log on.
Right.
Is the 3 things you're grateful for, and more than likely you'll get more of that in the
And,
next day.
and that's a great kid one too. Is I remember with my kids, especially when they're younger, maybe they're in the back seat, they're kind of going at it a little bit, and I say, okay, everybody, let's stop, and we have to each pick 3 things that we're grateful for, and it worked every time
Yeah.
because it totally changes your whole mindset and even kind of how you feel inside, right? You're like, "Ah," and all of a sudden you're like, oh. It like brings you kind of back down. And so it's an awesome gratitude is huge. It's huge, I think, for
For
health.
health. I agree. I agree. The other thing, what happens with that is that if you start your kids on that theme and say,
Hmm.
write whatever it is, your 3 things you're happy for at the
Right,
end of the night before bedtime, what happens is the next day, they're looking for them throughout the day, right?
right,
Oh, this is going to go in my journal, or maybe not that's going to go in my journal. So
right.
it's one of those self-fulfilling positive practices that, your mobile technology can help you with too.
Yeah, yeah, you get to pass it on to your kids, right? All the positive parts of tech that we can find for them since they're like now, not like us, right?
No,
They're like it's immersed, you
yeah.
know, they're like this now.
I know,
So
pretty embedded on everyday life. So if you
yeah,
don't use it as much, try to use it for good as
right.
well.
Right.
As well, not just the gossip, which is also very good. Entertainment gossip. Oh, Zayn left One Direction. That was a big deal. We all talked about it too much on this past weekend with all the teen girls. And
Right.
I just want to remind everyone that next week on Friday, we are actually going to be broadcasting live again from the Verizon new destination store in Boston. I'm going to go up there with Misty and Marty McPadden to broadcast live from there. We're going to do some fun interviews, and on Saturday, the store is going to have Donnie Wahlberg. So
Nice.
yeah, so it's going to be great to be there, and Jack, which is also great for the teens. So stay tuned on Friday, and we'll see you again. We're going to announce the winner of the Samsung Galaxy Note 4, but first I want to thank Joyce so much for your advice and your tips. I love every time that we get to spend some time with you and learn from your great resources and tips.
Well, thanks for having me. It was fun. We gotta do this more often.
Yes, we should do a regular connection.
Yes.
And Corey Hope is the winner of the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. Congratulations to
Yay.
Corey. Yay, you're going to love this
Yay.
phone. It's amazing. And we're sending you a Verizon Wireless SIM card so you can quickly and easily activate it on the Verizon network and enjoy the great service and reliability. Are you actually using a 4G LTE from Verizon for the live Google Hangout now, aren't you?
Boom. Oh, me? No, I'm not actually. Not today.
Oh, you
Usually I
plugged
do.
in.
Yes, but I am loving my Droid.
Oh,
I, yes.
great color.
Oh, I love it. Awesome camera too.
So great. Well, we'll see you next week. I want to thank Robin's World and the Tech Dad and, of course, Jean Parks. She's making a great effort to be on the chats. I know we're thinking of you, Jean, and you're going to come through this
Yes.
with flying colors. We're absolutely sure of that. Thanks for joining, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Check it out.